Board Clerk Tony Bellata and County Council of Student Council's President Logan Harrigan. Senior staff members will join us periodically as directed by the Superintendent. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by President Harrigan?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Viewers and listeners can access the meeting today by either watching on Comcast channels 234 and 235, UVerse channel 99, or by using our YouTube link on our webpage at palmbeachschools.org. In the event that the link is interrupted for technical reasons, please switch over to the TV channels. All board meetings are recorded in their entirety and posted on the district website within 24 hours. We also offer a listening-only option which the public can access by calling 561-357-5900 or toll-free at 1-866-930-7015. The meeting ID is 1561-880-1124, #. This meeting is being transcribed by a closed captioner, so please remember to speak at a reasonable pace. On behalf of the school board, I'd like to welcome any public speakers who are joining us today. The school board supports the peaceful assembly of persons to express themselves regarding matters concerning district students, employees, and the community. Please adhere to the safety protocols that were provided to you upon entry and which outline in more detail what is expected. As a reminder, public comments must relate to the subject matter of the agenda item for which the speaker had requested to address. Pursuant to school board policy, speakers whose comments do not relate to the topic that the speaker indicated, including but not limited to the mention of any person's candidacy for elected office, are subject to having the microphone turned off and forfeiting the right to speak at the remainder of today's meeting. Again, your attendance here at the school board meeting is appreciated. Thank you for helping us to maintain decorum, civility, and the orderly conduct of school board business. We have no minutes to approve. We have 2 items that have been added for good cause. The first one is computer work. We were adding item P2, the personnel addendum. Good cause exists for adding this item so that employees can begin in their new positions as soon as possible. We're also adding item LR1 2022 modifications to the collective bargaining agreement with the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association to allow time for the members of the T-bargaining unit to ratify the tentative agreement between the Classroom Teachers Association and the school board, and to ensure that the members receive pay increases for fiscal year 22 before the end of the school year to comply with the requirements of the state teacher salary increase allocation. This item was added for good cause. Mr. Superintendent, do you have any items to withdraw?
No, sir.
Board members, do you have any items you wish to pull at this time? Disclosures and abstentions by the school board members? Seeing none, Mr. Superintendent, you have comments?
I do. I'm going to dedicate my comments tonight to a couple of important awards. We know how difficult it is and becoming increasingly difficult to recruit and retain teachers in the, not just Palm Beach County, but across the nation. So we have a couple of awards that are really important. I'm going to spend my time tonight just recognizing some nominees and then ultimately the award winners. We have the Beginning Teacher of the Year Award, which was created for beginning teachers just to recognize their dedication and hard work. This year, the past couple of years, we're especially thankful for their service. And then along with the beginning teachers, we have our Mentor Teacher of the Year Award, which was created to recognize the invaluable contributions mentor teachers make in supporting our new educators. Mentoring starting educators is both a rewarding and demanding job. All our teachers have a demanding job, so those that take the time to also serve as a mentor are going above and beyond. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to call up all of our finalists, and as I introduce your name, please join us here in front of the dais. All right, our elementary school finalist, Michelle Killick from Northmore Elementary School in the North Region. Come on up, Michelle. All right. Elizabeth Brown from C.O. Taylor, Kirk Lane, Central Region. Nicole Koch, Diamond View Elementary, South Region. And Ednisha Willingham Brown from Pioneer Park, Glades Region. These are our elementary beginning teacher of the year finalists. Now our secondary finalist, Miss Leslie Haywood from William T. Dwyer, North Region. Miss Amanda Goldberg from Wellington Landings Middle School, Central Region. Mr. Paul Salbearer from Okehely Middle School, South Region. And Miss Karenza Harvey from Pahokee Middle, Glades Region. All right. Would the board please join me down in front of the dais so we can get a picture here, and then I'll be announcing the award winners. I got a few more names to call here. So that was our beginning teacher finalists. I need to invite our mentor finalists up here as well. At the elementary level, could I please have Jennifer Allen from Wellington Elementary, Central Region. All right. Mr. Alan Van Valkenburg, Diamond View Elementary. Ms. Kasona Peterson from Pioneer Park Elementary. At the secondary mentor level, Kelly Barnes, Watson B. Duncan. James Johnson, Forest Hill. And Miss Melissa Atkins, Tradewinds Middle School. This is a surprise announcement. We're going to actually do the winners right here. Okay. For our beginning teacher of the year, the elementary winner is Michelle Killick. Michelle? Hey! All right. And our beginning teacher of the year at the secondary level is Miss Karenza Harvey. Hey, all right. All right. For our mentor teacher of the year at the elementary level, Mr. Alan Van Valkenburg. All right. And at the secondary level, James Johnson. All right. Well, again, congratulations to all of our finalists. Thank you so much for all you're doing for our students. We would like to take one picture there with the finalist of the finalists, our 4 award winners there. Thank you. Okay, we're just wrapping up our award winners. I got two principal announcements and two more things. All right, at this point, I'd like to invite our Deputy Superintendent, Mr. Ed Tierney, to the main stage. And also, we've got a new principal announcement we'd like to share. Done that in a while.
Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chairwoman Mrs. Brill, School Board Member Superintendent Burke, I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to introduce Palm Beach County School District newest principal. The Independence Middle School community indicated that they want a leader that would build strong relationship with parents, students, staff, and also a strong culture. We believe we found that leader with those attributes and many more. So I'm very pleased to introduce the newest principal, Ms. Amber Saunders.
Thank you. Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chairwoman Brill, board members, Superintendent Burke. I'm really thankful to be here today. I've given 15 years to public education, and all of that time was at Jupiter High School, where I was able to build awesome relationships with kids and build programs and grow awesome numbers with those students. And I'm really excited to bring a lot of that with me to Independence. It's a dream. You know, it's an incredible school, incredible teachers. We're building climate. We're doing things already in the last couple of weeks. I'm just so thankful for everything I've been able to do, both at Jupiter High and now at Independence. I've been under some incredible leadership at Jupiter High. I was under Paula Neesmith and Dan Frank and Cheryl Allagood and Dr. Colleen Ionetti. And, you know, I've learned a little bit of something from everyone along the way. And Ms. McQuinn, principal at Palm Beach Gardens High School when I was in attendance. So, you know, I am just so thankful to have all of these incredible leaders teaching me a little bit. And now I can bring it to the school. And it's going to be a great year. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations, Ms. Saunders. We know you're going to do great there. I'd like to mention also, just quickly, we have our new Chief of HR who's with us tonight, Ms. Erica Rieger. Erica's at the back table there. Chairman Barbieri, that concludes my comments.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Superintendent. School board member comments. Mrs. McQuinn?
I'm going to limit to just one this evening, but I'm going to start doing these really positive ones again, like some of my peers do. Today, in the district cafeteria, and I know that's not what we call it, but we were entertained by the Yeager Middle School band, instrumental, and the incredible drums. The band director, I'm going to mispronounce his name, so forgive me ahead of time, Mr. G. Goendu. Their band director came to Yeager last year, developed this band, formed this band during virtual. And so he hasn't even had them a full school year in person. They were so amazing. I thought, okay, the cafeteria is going to be interesting with a band performing really loud. It was just, everybody enjoyed it so much. And I do want to, it was in our district newsletter, but I don't know if everyone at large knows that Mr. Goendu was just named one of Yamaha's 40 under 40 outstanding music educators, and that was a recognition among hundreds of nominations. So and he is a Dreyfus School of the Arts graduate, so he is homegrown, and I want to congratulate him and his students. Most of them will be going to Palm Beach Lakes next year. I tried to recruit a couple to Palm Beach Gardens. I don't know if I was successful or not. And then a couple are also going to Dreyfus. So just very excited about the talent that we have with our educators and our students here in Palm Beach County.
Thank you, Ms. McQuinn. Ms. Ayala?
Thank you. And I echo the praise for all of our arts programs. We're so fortunate in Palm Beach County. I want to give a huge thanks to everybody who was involved in the recent Careers in Construction seminar. Students and learners at our Adult Education Center received opportunities to meet with members of the business community and help them understand the needs of potential employers. This was a collaborative effort between our Chief Operating Officer, Joseph Sanchez, and his team, the Office of Diversity and Business Practices, and their team, and our business sponsor, Thornton Construction. It was a really worthwhile event, and I really look forward to doing more of these to expose our students and learners to all the opportunities they have after they leave the school district of Palm Beach County. This past Saturday, the Latin Quarter of West Palm Beach, a community-centered nonprofit, presented 3 scholarships to 3 students from Forest Hill High School who are also in Latinos in Action, which is an elective course that helps them develop additional skills. These students have dreams to continue their education post-graduation and pursue careers in healthcare, business management, and visual arts, and these hard-earned scholarships will help them achieve that. I want to give a huge thanks to the board of the Latin Quarter for making this possible, and to the LIA coordinator at Forest Hill, as well as their leadership team, for this collaborative goal of doing everything they can to help our students achieve their dreams. And finally, I want to congratulate more educators tonight. That was such a nice thing we just did. 2 of our District 2 educators, Miss Lillian Dixon from C.O. Taylor Kirk Lane Elementary and Miss Jessica Bayani from my very own alma mater, Palm Springs Middle, go Stingrays, for being recognized as finalists for Dwyer Awards this year. The Dwyer Awards for Excellence in Education recognize outstanding educators throughout Palm Beach County. Congratulations to all the finalists in every category. This is a huge achievement, and I really look forward to celebrating all of your contributions together soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ayala. Mrs. Whitfield?
Thank you so much. Excuse me, first of all, I just want to say that it was so fun to actually get to do presentations again. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting to do that again soon. It's nice to start the meeting with positive recognitions within our school system. I wanted to talk really briefly tonight. I have become the new representative on the healthcare district board, which I'm so thrilled about. And one of the things that they do for the school district, there's many things that they do for us, and I'm pleased to be the elected representative appointed by the county commissioners to that board. But one of the things that they do is that they work with us on our school nurse program. They're actually a very large funder through your taxpayer dollars to the healthcare district of our school nurses. And so I wanted to take my time to just show you a little video that a team at 10 made about our healthcare district nurses that participate in our schools every day.
Hi, my name is Cassandra Santiago, and I'm a school nurse for the healthcare district at Hagen Road Elementary School. I wanted to be a school nurse because I have a passion for education, and so that, along with wanting to work with children and in healthcare, made me want to be a school nurse.
Hi, my name is Robin Jarrett. I'm with the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County. Since 2003, I have been a school nurse. School nurses are so misunderstood. We do more than just put Band-Aids and ice packs on. When I'm at the high school and I see the 9th graders come in where they're trying to find themselves, and then by the time they're in the 12th grade, there's so much that goes on in between.
I have 5 kids, and 2 goes to this school. And I also have my other kids go to Egret and Jaeger, and they're very informative, and that's what I like about it. Anything that happens with my kids, the school nurses call me. My kids feel so comfortable. Every little thing, they go to that school nurse, and I feel so good.
Not every time you go to a doctor's office that you get the same doctor, you get to build a relationship with. Here you get to build a relationship with the school nurse, because she's been here for a long time.
I am so happy that they do come to me and trust me and will listen to me and go ahead and get the proper treatments that they need.
I feel like I treat them like they're my own children while they're here on campus. It's difficult knowing that this might be the only access to healthcare they have, and that families have difficulty or trouble getting healthcare outside of this. But I'm glad that I'm able to be here to bridge that gap for them.
Tell the truth.
Yeah, every day I bump my head.
Yeah, yes, every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Yes, every day just to get in here. Every day just to get in here. Nurse Robin would tell you that is the truth. That's the bond that they have, and that's why I am so comfortable. I mean, I'm so comfortable, but yeah, that's the bond that they have, and it's exciting to see it, and it's also heartwarming to me. Like I keep saying, as a mom, it's just to have that peace, that comfort, relief, to know somebody is here.
Thank you so much for playing that video. I'm very much looking forward to this opportunity to expand my service here in Palm Beach County, and just such a wonderful program, so I'm glad to share that quick moment with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Whitfield. Mrs. Andrews?
Good afternoon to everyone. It's always my pleasure to speak to you. And I have to tell you about a special person today, and I'm going to show you the video, but I really want to tell you who she is. She is Mrs. Valentine. We thanked her yesterday at Cypress Trails Elementary School. And I want to thank the communications department and everyone that travels the school district to thank a teacher. This was a school psychologist. And you may say, Miss Andrews, was that a teacher? Yes, they teach every day and they make it happen. So it was a surprise walking into Cypress Trails Elementary School on yesterday to greet Mrs. Valentine at Cypress Trails Elementary School. Her students were there in anticipation. Nobody knew we were coming. The principal was ready. All of the employees were tiptoeing around, saying, I know that you're here, but we can't say anything. Shh. So we made it over to Mrs. Valentine's room, and we saw her. She was just so beautiful. Her husband was there with us. We had a little crowd of us with balloons and flowers and everything. And her husband was standing there, and I said, so are you the partner for the Thank a Teacher, the outstanding teacher, Miss Valentine? He says, yes, I'm Mr. Valentine. I says, thank you for what you do to make Miss Valentine special. So her students said to us, she's outstanding. She does great work at the school as a school psychologist. She makes us happy, Miss Andrews. She makes us smile. She helps us emotionally, socially, and mentally. Her work is so outstanding, the teachers all around the school said, yay, we agree with the students. We agree with the staff and the principal. You've really made the best selection. So we want to tell Ms. Valentine from all of the school board, we thank you for being a teacher in the Palm Beach County School District. School psychologists are teachers too. They go into the rooms, they help the children know what they need. They do testing, but that's not all. They really begin to be a friend of the student to find out what the student really needs for success. So we need more Miss Valentines of the world. Congratulations, Miss Valentine. You are our Thank a Teacher from Cypress Trails Elementary. Let the video roll.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Valentine, and I am the school psychologist here at Cypress Trails Elementary School. I am a product of the Palm Beach County school system. My dad was a school psychologist in Palm Beach County for over 30 years, and my mom was a teacher, so we were a public school family. I grew up watching them help kids, and so I sort of always knew I wanted to help kids. I love my job. I love working in schools. So the job of the school psychologist is many. We're here to help students and help teachers help students. We try to stomp out bullying. We try to make kids, less judgmental, more understanding, provide them with empathy. And they are growing, and it's just a wonderful feeling to be a positive role model for kids. So we try to support the community, in a variety of different areas. We work together to create a list of children that might be in need of a few extra gifts for the holiday seasons. With Veterans Day, we had the children write cards or letters to veterans. For First Responder Day, we had the children write thank you letters to our first responders. And it's just been my dream to have that come full circle and give back. And I feel like, here I am teaching kids the exact same thing. I am in a first grade class this morning, answering questions, super focused on them and looking at their little smiles, and all of a sudden the door opens and I look over and I see all these people start coming in with balloons and flowers.
She has won a special award, and it is called the Thank a Teacher Award. So here's a special certificate for her. She's just an all-around awesome member of our Lion family here at Cypress Trails.
When they see your beautiful face and your knowledge that makes our children smile, that makes them laugh, and makes them want to learn.
She goes above and beyond. When you're part of a family, you want everyone to succeed, so she's out in the community, she's here with the kids.
I just can't be any more proud. It doesn't surprise me.
To have everyone in that room, it just felt like such a big family, like we were all just in this together, helping kids learn and grow. It was just a really wonderful feeling.
Hey, Palm Beach County, who will you nominate next?
Thank you, Mrs. Andrews. Mrs. Andrews. Congratulations to that teacher. Dr. Robinson, do you have any comments? Vice Chairwoman Brill.
Thank you. So tonight I'm going to share with my colleagues and the public that last night we had an amazing meeting for the new middle school that's being built in District 3. And I have to tell you that at one point we had over 200 people on the call. And the parents had the opportunity to ask questions about transportation, programs, boundaries, which of course haven't been decided, but it really helped the community, helped get the community engaged. They learned about the process for selecting a principal. And I'm sharing this because originally this was planned, and then we had a lot of shifts in people working in the district, and it had been canceled. And having it last night made me realize that this is something we should always do when we're opening up a school. I know we're having one next week for the new high school in Mrs. Andrews' area. I think that the time was invaluable. I cannot tell you how many people called me and emailed me to say thank you for opening up the conversation. They got to see the physical layout of the school, and I just think it's a great way to foster community involvement, because it takes a community, it takes a village to make a school successful. So I just want to say thank you to Mr. Joseph Sanchez, Dr. Peter Licata, Mr. Jason Link, Mr. David Dolan, and all the other people that were involved. The architect from Harvard, Jolly, was on the call. I mean, it was just, and it was late, but they pulled it off, and people were so happy. So I just want to say thank you to the district, and let's keep it up. Whenever we have a new school, let's find a way to engage the community to support us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brill. I want to recognize the Rotary Club of Boca Raton Sunrise. This coming Tuesday, the Rotary Club will have its 36th annual Teacher of the Year program, and it'll be recognizing teachers from the 21 schools in the Boca Raton area. So thank you to the Rotary Club for doing this for our teachers for 36 years. The other thing that I want to, we have graduations coming soon in May, and it's probably the greatest, it's the most enjoyable thing that a school board member gets to do, is to watch the kids after all the years they're here with us finally graduate and walk off the stage with their diplomas. So it's one of the happiest things we do, but one of the most, at least in my opinion, most of the awful things we have to deal with is the expulsion of students. And last week we had to expel 2 students. So I just want to get the word out there, because both of those cases, the parents, basically cried during the expulsion hearing because they bought tasers for their children, because the children get off the bus and walk through some areas that the parents were concerned that the child may be in danger. And unfortunately, those students had those tasers with them in their backpacks on the school property and on the bus. And that's a zero-tolerance offense under the state statutes, and the board has no authority to mitigate that. Only the superintendent can, in some cases, change an expulsion to something less. Unfortunately, last week, neither one of those cases were mitigated to the point where there wasn't an expulsion on the student's record. So I just want to, I know that these meetings, these once a month meetings at 5 o'clock, we get the most attention. So I just want to make sure the message gets out to all of you. The kids don't know that that's considered a weapon. A lot of them have no idea, and mom and dad buy them. And unfortunately, the parents told us they'd like to put themselves and the kids, punish them instead of their children, and we don't have the authority to do that. So for those of you who are listening, please get the message out. Tasers are weapons, and if you buy one for your child because the child fears that, maybe we need to take some other action, and you need to let the school board know that your child's in an area where they need some extra protection, and we certainly will do what we can to make sure the children are safe when they get off our buses and leave our campuses. But please get the message out there, because it just makes us sick to our stomach when we have to expel a child, because that's on their record for the rest of their career, and it's no way to wipe that clean. So going along with some of the sad things we have to do, we typically at these meetings recognize those employees in the district who have passed away since our last meeting, where we recognize other ones. So tonight we have 4 that we'd like to recognize. Sarah Angelo, she was a teacher in the district substitute pool. She was born in July of 1942 and died March 6th, 2022. Vance Brown was a custodian at the Glades Construction Academy. Mr. Vance was born in October 1959, and he died February 15th, 2022. Robin Scott was a teacher, an elementary 5th grade teacher at Palm Springs Elementary. She was born in December 1961, and she died March 3rd, 2022. And Martha Soriano was a school administrative assistant at Rosenwald Elementary. She was born July 24th, 1966, and she died on March 16th, 2022. If we could have a moment of silence for those employees and their families. Thank you all very much. Now if we can get on to happier things. President Logan, if you want to give your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Barbieri. As the school year comes to an end, students throughout the county are preparing for FSA, AP, ACE testing, as well as final exams. Last Thursday, Spanish River hosted an event called Everything Goes, where seniors throughout the county were invited to a field day where we participated in relay races, allowing students to make new connections with students from different schools. For many high schools, prom is approaching, so parents and teachers have worked on drinking and driving awareness projects for students to participate in to ensure safety on prom night, teaching us the importance of protecting our future by avoiding any regretful mistakes. On May 5th, American Heritage will be hosting a county banquet inviting our student government representatives in Palm Beach County to elect new board members for the 2022-2023 school year. And finally, the project I began working on in January in regards to student voices being heard has been taken into the hands of Palm Beach County executives in order to have it prepared for students next school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. We now have the committee reports. Academic Advisory Committee. Ms. Feldman.
Good evening, Chair. Is this on? Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, school board members, Superintendent Burke, and staff. My name is Laura Feldman. I'm speaking to you now as Chair of the Academic Advisory Committee. I'm happy to inform you that we had a quorum. Yay. We heard a presentation in this month's meeting about the new benchmark instructional material. We heard that it is best to use a phonetics program, which is embedded within the whole reading program. According to the various test results that were reviewed, including iReady as one of the tests, this program is helping our students to be better readers with notable improvements in vocabulary. There were questions raised by committee members regarding reading intervention programs. We learned that the Wilson Foundation program recommends that their intervention program is used only when Wilson Foundations is a part of the core instruction. Wilson Foundations is not part of our core instruction in Palm Beach County School District. It is also no longer one of the instructional programs that's used. There were further questions regarding reading interventions, which will be addressed when the committee hears a presentation on reading interventions. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Feldman. The Audit Committee has no report for us. Construction Oversight Review Committee has been attached to the board agenda. Diversity Equity Committee. Committee Chair Charmaine Postal will give that report.
Good evening.
Chair Barbieri, board members, Superintendent Burke, staff, and everyone in your respective places. Charmaine Postal, DDEC Chair. The DDEC met on March 24th in this boardroom and virtually. The Department of Safe Schools members Diane Wyatt, Gregory Murphy, and Amy Mazzacco presented an attendance data presentation that included the percentage of student absence, the efforts that members of the Department of Schools, community members, and outside agencies use to address the chronic absenteeism and truancy. The department highlighted 12,000 students with attendance issues last year. As of February of this year, nearly 8,000 students who have forms of chronic absenteeism were identified. The department recognized some barriers that may have prevented the students from coming to school, and with the help of resources, the department is looking at ways to prevent students on their way to truancy. Department of Safe Schools have asked each agency represented on the DDEC for the support by getting the word out on the attendance campaign and the resources they have available to prevent chronic absenteeism and truancy, reinforcing the importance of education to obtain the academic credentials and skills needed to compete in a 21st century workforce. In addition, the agencies are to identify additional barriers to attendance and their communities and connect students with a mentor if the opportunity is within our respective agencies. Committee members had discussions, concerns, and a few recommendations that are as follows. Questions surrounding the correlation between the school climate data and the students' desire to return to school. The committee has requested the staff and schools report back data to identify the cause of absence or barriers preventing the attendance, i.e., including but not limited to bullying, safety and transportation, food and or pregnancy, and etc. Identify the disconnect amongst the Hispanic students and why they are at an alarming rate for attendance issues and the highest percentage in other areas of concerns. Requested data to be further disaggregated by gender, ELL, and ESE. Requested that the department consider a peer-to-peer student initiative program to address attendance issues. A motion was made by the committee to have the Department of Safe Schools return at the May 26th DDEC regular meeting for report back with the aforementioned requests. Last month was the DDEC first subcommittee on district training meeting, which focused on the organizational structure of the subcommittee, which was chaired by Kimberly Sparrow. Lastly, an organization named Connected to Greatness addressed the DDEC regarding interest to serve as an agency on the committee. At this time, the DDEC have no recommendations due to technical difficulties and understanding the speaker. The committee has asked that the representative from the agency to return at the next DDEC meeting to share about the organization. This concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Postal. General Counsel, do you have a report?
No report.
Inspector General Michael.
Yes. Good evening, board members, executive management, and district stakeholders. Most people, the board included, are accustomed to me being the bearer of bad news. And some of you even groan when I walk in the room. And that eventually is going to start getting on my nerves, by the way. However, at this time, I'd like to take the opportunity for once to bring some good news. As most people are aware, Palm Beach County is the only school district in Florida to have a dedicated Office of Inspector General, and only one of 7 school districts in the nation that have an Office of Inspector General. The commitment by the school board to accountability and transparency is commendable, and I thank the board and district staff for your support in a job that rarely brings good news and is often under attack. However, with the responsibility of holding others accountable comes a greater need for my office and myself to be held accountable. In March of this year, the Office of Inspector General underwent 2 separate reviews by 2 different organizations. The first assessment was conducted by the Commission for Florida Law Enforcement Accreditation. The CFA assessors were 2 law enforcement officers, one from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement and one from Tarpon Springs PD. The CFA assessors reviewed the office's investigative procedures, process, and work products to ensure compliance with standards adopted by the CFA. The assessors reviewed the IG's policies, work material, to ensure compliance with every step of the investigative process, from complaint intake, interviews, analysis, and reporting. The CFA assessors found no instances of noncompliance, and I'm pleased to announce that the OIG will join school police in maintaining our accreditation status. The second assessment was conducted by the Association of Inspector Generals, which is a national organization providing oversight for federal, state, and local OIGs. This review concentrated on the audit, contract oversight, quality assurance functions of the office. The assessors for the AIG was the Inspector General for the Defense Media Activity from Fort Meade, Maryland, and an AIG board member from Tallahassee. This peer review also resulted in no findings and demonstrates the office complies with both government auditing standards as well as the AIG Green Book standards. Both teams of assessors evaluate the way the office and how we function within the district to ensure that the office maintains independency, transparency, consistency, and impartiality in all of our operations. I'd like to take this time to thank each of the OIG staff, from our legal counsel, our administrative professionals, directors, and finally, but definitely not least, our auditors and investigators of the OIG. Thank you. Without your commitment to the IG mission, none of this would be possible. On a final note, the OIG audit team has recently completed our internal audit funds for the 176 schools in this district. This audit is done annually, and the OIG staff visit every school and assess the following areas: fundraising, cash collections, after-school programs, leasing programs, and purchase card transaction. This year, we had 55 schools that had no significant findings. And of those 55, 6 of the schools had no findings for the past 4 years, which is extremely commendable. Those schools are A.W. Dreyfus School of the Arts, Chuck Shaw Technical Education Center, Omni Middle School, Palm Beach Public, Sunset Palms Elementary, and Turning Point Academy. This is a feat well done, and it shows that the whole school is commitment to following the policies, the procedures, and attention to detail, and I congratulate them for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam IG, and the board congratulates your office for a job well done. Thank you for making us proud that you work here for us in Palm Beach County. Thank you. Board members, we need to take a motion to approve the agenda as modified earlier. Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, seconded by Mrs. McQuinn. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That'll take us to our elected officials and delegates. Please come up to the microphones. James Gavrilis, our President and CEO of the Education Foundation, Jen Martinez, President of the Florida PTA, and Claudia Kirk-Bartow, Junior Achievement of Palm Beach Treasure Coast.
Chairman Barbieri, I thank you for the shout out to the Rotary Club of Boca Raton Sunrise, which happens to be my club, my Rotary Club, for the 36th Annual Teacher of the Year. To the rest of those assembled here today, I might add, in his humility, he did not mention that the Teacher of the Year ceremony at the Rotary Club was started 36 years ago by a young hotshot lawyer in Boca Raton by the name of Frank Barbieri, Jr. So thank you for your lifetime of dedication to our teachers. Superintendent Burke, you started tonight recognizing the beginning teacher and the mentor teacher of the year. We at the Ed Foundation take a day every June, and we spend a whole day planning our strategic plan for the next year. And I shared with you, I think after we did this year's plan, one of the goals for the year was to really lead the conversation and become innovators and proactive rather than just reactive. So Superintendent Burke, to your point, I'm pleased to say that both of the honorees will be receiving $300 grants from the Education Foundation as part of our Go Teach program. As part of that Go Teach program, again, us being innovative and leading the conversation, we've added professional development workshops for your teachers. Last night, 30 teachers participated in a workshop with Jennifer Etheridge and someone certainly known to this body, Becky Youngman, who now works for us. And so we work from the very top of the spectrum with our teachers all the way down to the young whippersnappers, the little ones who are just trying to get started with their reading and their various programs. A couple of quick updates. We're very excited that on May 17th, the first cohort will be graduating from the Palm Beach Lakes Fire Science Academy. That ceremony will be held at Palm Beach State College, and there are 18 young people in the first cohort who are graduating and ready to move on to their careers as firefighters, as paramedics, first responders here in America. The VITA program that I briefly alluded to last month, unbelievably successful at Santa Lucia's and also Boynton Beach High School. By conservative estimates, the young people, these are high school students who are helping their contemporaries, their neighbors, prepare their income taxes, produced $50,000 of income tax refunds coming back into the community. And that $50,000 number does not include what they saved the families who did not have to pay a tax preparer. These are Palm Beach County high school kids performing this kind of a service and learning a valuable skill. On that note, again, as we try to lead the conversation, most of you are aware we've discussed the mental health technician program, which we had submitted to the State Board of Education. I am so proud to say that last week, finally, things move at glacial speed sometimes up in Tallahassee, but it was approved. The first program, Career Academy, training mental health technicians right here in Palm Beach County and the Palm Beach County School District. Funded in part by the Education Foundation, but led by you, the school board, and certainly Superintendent Burke. This is what we do best. We lead the conversation, we help where we can, and we fill in some of those gaps. One final quick update on the digital inclusion plan. Mr. Barbieri, we mentioned the Rotary Club of Boca Raton, who this Saturday will again be configuring Wi-Fi extenders. Just in the last 2 weeks, we've had Aerojet Rocketdyne, NCCI, LexisNexis, and Vertical Bridge Holdings, a large company in Boca Raton, who had their employees spend an entire day configuring Wi-Fi extenders. Under the capable guidance of the good Dr. Miller, who's sitting around here somewhere, Adam, you are amazing to work with your team. We're pleased to say that Lantana, Lake Worth Beach, is now scheduled to come online. Some 860 families will be receiving those Wi-Fi extenders, bringing them into the modern economy, giving their children a chance at a first-class education, but above all, making sure that everyone in Palm Beach County has equity of opportunity for a great education. Ladies and gentlemen, we are your education foundation, serving the schools, teachers, and students, and the finest school district in the state of Florida. Thank you.
Thank you, President Gavrilis. We're very proud of all you've done for us, and we thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chair Brill, school board members, Superintendent Burke, and attendees. Thank you, Ms. Whitfield, for your recognition of school nurses. PTA has long advocated for the importance of school nurses in every school. As we celebrate Staff Appreciation the first week of May, remember that Nurses Day is also May 6th. The past few months have been very busy legislatively and with PTA activities. I have had the honor to represent us on the Florida Department of Education Teacher of the Year External Selection Committee and would hope to be invited to the Palm Beach County process next year. I have been around the state in person and virtually celebrating student, school, and PTA successes. I am wrapping up my 2-year term, so May will be my last school board meeting as the Florida PTA president. Thus, coming to an end, a 25-year volunteer career in Palm Beach County. In June, we are heading to the National PTA Hill Day and Convention for our 125th year anniversary. I was happy to hear that the CTA and the Palm Beach County School District have reached a tentative T-bargaining unit contract. Due to recent laws passed, I know the district will have to create new policies, and with the recent ban of the 54 math textbook, possibly new materials. I just want to share that Florida PTA will maintain their opposition to these bills passed, but understand that districts around the state must follow the laws set before them. We are seeking more information on the criteria used to ban the textbooks like many other groups. We are still seeking clarity on the upcoming progress monitoring that will replace FSA and all of the requirements that come with it, including why science has not been updated since 2008. PTA has voiced its opposition for many years against one high-stakes test being the sole criteria for a student's projected academic success. We look forward to learning more about this process and how it will be implemented and affect our teachers and students and schools. It seems many of the recent bills and laws have had an outside focus. While there has not been a dedicated focus on the teacher shortage statewide, the bus shortage statewide, causing students to be left in the morning waiting for a school bus or left at the schools in the afternoon waiting to be picked up. It does not address the non-instructional support staff shortage. Together as educators, all of these positions make a difference for our children and should be a priority in the state to support academic excellence for all children. With attendance concerns and how attendance from a teacher or a student relates to educational loss, especially still recovering from the pandemic, this should be a priority at the forefront of our state legislators and our conversations. PTA continues to stand ready to advocate for all children, every child, one voice. Not a pocket, not a specific group, all children. 99 years strong in Florida, 125 years strong in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Ms. Bartow?
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chair Brill, board members, and Superintendent Burke. I'm Claudia Kirk-Bartow, the president of Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast. Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast is proud to continue to support the teachers and students in Palm Beach County schools. And to date, yes, I have to have my notes because lots of numbers again. We've increased 49,146 students in Palm Beach County's 650 plus individual classrooms. That's a lot of students so far this year. Kindergarten through 12th grade programs have been delivered by over 570 local volunteers. This means that our local students have received over 75,000 instruction hours, which has helped inspire and prepare our young people to succeed. In honor of Earth Week, JA is proud to partner with the We Love You Foundation, Waste Management, and the school district's STEM department to provide opportunities for students to explore careers in the environmental field. Over 5,800 kindergarten through 12th grade students in Palm Beach County have participated in 4 live webinars this week. There will be one in-person speaker. That's the Solid Waste Authority Chairman and Palm Beach County Vice Mayor Greg Weiss. He'll be streamed live from John I. Leonard High School this Friday to wrap up the week. And the team has organized a beach cleanup at Coral Cove Park on Sunday in Jupiter to help celebrate. If you'd like to join us bright and early, it's only at 8:30 a.m. And of course, Volunteer Appreciation Week. Junior Achievement has had the pleasure of working with over 570 volunteers this year. And we've had the honor of hosting many from different companies, including Truist, Bank of America, Plan Hub, the Clerk and Comptroller's Office, Palm Beach Atlantic University, Palm Beach State, Bernstein. I could go on, but I won't. There's so many dedicated individuals that are willing to give back their time to our students through Junior Achievement, and we can't express enough how grateful we are. And last but certainly not least, having students in the school system. Happy testing time. Thank you so much for all you do every day for our students.
Thank you, President Bartow. It goes both ways. Thank you for what you do for our students. Corey Smith, Coalition for Black Student Achievement, Gordon Longhofer, Vice President of the CTA, and Laura Fellman, Palm Beach County PTA, PTSA. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Good evening. Board Chair Barbieri, Vice Chair Brill, board members, Superintendent Burke. My name is Corey Smith, and tonight I'm speaking on behalf of the Coalition of Black Student Achievement. We're an alliance of parents, educators, students, advocates, and local leaders dedicated to ensuring black children have an equitable education experience here in Palm Beach County. Unfortunately, tonight, that experience is under deliberate attack from those seeking to politicize our public schools. HB 1467 is the latest example of government overreach weakening public school education for the sake of scoring political points. Under the guise of increasing transparency, this law opens the floodgates to a new wave of book banning and free speech censorship. The ramifications of the new law will be felt by students, parents, and educators across the county. Book banning and free speech censorship. History has taught us that these tactics have been used to the detriment of all those who are frowned upon and cast out by societies around the world. Although proponents claim this bill increases parents' rights, in reality, it dilutes their voice by opening the review process to frivolous claims from people with no bona fide interest in public education. I'm a father of 4 students, 1 who graduated from John I. Leonard, and 3 who attend schools here in Palm Beach County at the elementary, middle, and high school levels. There are some in this county with no child in the classroom or any stake in our school system who will attempt to use the challenge process as a forum for their own political agenda. But what we really need is books, not bullies. Pens, pencils, and paper belong in the classroom, not personal political positions by those attempting to elevate their own platforms. Truth also belongs in the classroom, and that should not be a controversial statement. It is extremely disappointing that this law and laws like it across the country are being used to reshape history. Books about the Holocaust, the Civil Rights Movement, and Black Americans surviving the Great Depression are being censored because some are uncomfortable with stories about our history that do not align with their rose-tinted views of the past. I'll pause parenthetically here to say that my father survived the Great Depression with his siblings and his family right here in Palm Beach County in the 1920s and 1930s. Recognizing the darker periods in our history is not the attack on our society that some think it is. Rather, it is a way for us to learn from our mistakes. It has been said that experience is the best teacher. Winston Churchill once warned that those who fail to learn their history are doomed to repeat it. If we fail to allow children to see the beauty of our nation's diversity, they will be less informed, less tolerant, and less compassionate. They will be bullies. We need books, not bullies. Do not repeat the mistakes of the past. Teach the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Gordon Longhofer and Laura Feldman.
Good evening, Chairman Barbieri, school board members, Superintendent Burke, and staff. My name is Laura Feldman. I'm speaking to you now as President of Palm Beach County Council of PTAs, PTSAs. We are aware and have read the press release from the Florida Department of Education, which was released on April 15th, 2022. We have concerns and we are gathering more information. We specifically would like to know what definition the Florida Department of Education used to define CRT and would like to see examples of it in the rejected books. Due to trauma sustained during the pandemic, we are confused by the rejection of social emotional learning as that is claimed to be within these books, as research has shown that it benefits children and students. We do look forward to hearing more details and gaining some better understanding of the thought process behind these textbooks decisions. With regards to the Parents' Bill of Rights, PTA remained silent last year on the Parents' Bill of Rights that had passed last year because although we support parent and family engagement, it was clear that the bill would have adverse repercussions. And this year's bill, HB 1557, Parental Rights in Education, is the first of potentially many shoes to fall. We opposed it because it targeted a special group of children, and the sponsor refused all remedies, including our own suggested language that would have removed that targeting. We would have been fine with language limiting K-3 discussion of human sexuality. We are not fine with the specific references to sexual orientation and gender identity. Florida PTA, the oldest and largest child advocacy association in the state, is comprised of more than 165,000 parents, teachers, students, and community members from the Florida Keys to the Panhandle. We speak out on issues in alignment with member-voted resolutions and position statements that include the concept of shared responsibility in educational decision-making. We recognize that parents, guardians, and families are the primary influence in children's lives, and that when families and educators work together to support children's learning and development, children are more likely to succeed. We strongly believe it to be fitting and appropriate for parents and guardians and families to participate in the determination of school policy, and we insist on their being treated with respect. At the same time, at no time should one parent's decision regarding what is appropriate for his or her child in any way limit access to instruction, programs, services, or books for another parent's child. School policies and protocols must address the needs of all children and grant access to content free of censorship based on bias, partisanship, or doctrinal disapproval. Florida PTA proudly speaks with one voice for all children. We urge you to join us. Our Legislative Committee and Educational Pathways Committee continue to stay on top of all of the releases and bills as they're signed into law. We hope to see some progress within this in the future. On a completely different note, our County Council is excited to tell you that our local units are busy planning their programs for the rest of the year and for their elections. County Council's end of the year and award celebration will be held at Safe Schools Institute on May 6th. We are looking forward to celebrating the many successes and achievements of our PTA volunteers, as well as present scholarships to 3 students for their future education after high school graduation. We hope you will join us. Please check our Facebook page and website for more information to order tickets. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Feldman. Call agenda speakers. We have 4. Jen Showalter, Edward Niesenbaum, Alexander Burke, and Donald Pearson.
Mr. Barbieri, over here, I guess.
I'm sorry. I didn't see you over there.
That's all right. You can leave the 3 minutes. I'll probably be done in that time. My name is Gordon Longhofer. I'm the Vice President of the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association. To you, Mr. Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chair Brill, members of the board, Superintendent Burke, and staff, I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to you tonight. We did have a great session yesterday, the 2 teams from the district and from the CTA. We successfully completed our negotiations for this contract year, reached a tentative agreement, and we're pleased to have you consider that tonight and hope you'll support it. We think it's well-deserved. I would also like to congratulate members of both teams for the hard work that they put in, the time and the professionalism to reach this agreement in a time frame that allows us to implement this by the end of this school year. I would also like to commend each of you board members for your leadership and commitment to do everything possible to do your very best for every teacher in Palm Beach County schools. It is disheartening that we had to reach this agreement in the shadow of yet another move by at the state level to dictate how teachers ought to be paid. But through clear thinking and committed collaboration yesterday, both teams were able to work together within these unjust constraints and reach a tentative agreement that you have before you, an agreement that objectively is at the top of all 67 counties throughout the state of Florida. And I'm just pleased to have been a part of that process. I look forward to continuing this type of collaboration with you as we move forward. It's going to take all of us together to speak to the governor and to legislators and to convince them there is a better way to fund public education, to fully fund it so that the needs of all students can be met and professionals who work in all capacities can be supported with a livelihood that allows them to freely and energetically lead students to achieve their potential. Thank you all again.
Thank you, Mr. Longhofer. Ms. Showalter.
Hi, I'm Jen Showalter, mom of 3, and I'm here to discuss FC3 and COM1. First, the construction change order for Wellington High School construction looked normal, which is a good thing, but it brings up a couple of issues: transparency, communication, and in turn accountability with the consent agenda items like FC3. I understand this change order as well as the attached PDFs are available technically online on the website. That said, the website itself is pretty confusing and actual information is practically buried. I understand and can appreciate that there's a lot of items and the board would want to take a large amount of time to go over each individual item. However, it would be in good faith gesture to the taxpayers who fund these projects and in the spirit of transparency and communication to give a very short summary of each consent agenda item that the board will be voting on before they vote on it. People may not be able to afford the time to go through each PDF of the vast list of consent agenda items. These summaries would increase transparency and communication, which would help make up a foundation of trust. Speaking of trust, that's been hampered by activities and policies that are special for special needs students. The board's been proclaiming that April's Autism Awareness Month. This proclamation emphasizes early diagnosis, intervention, ongoing support, and that these kids should have access to appropriate services. It states the county prides itself on being pupil-centered and committed to developing programs and providing services that meet the diverse academic and social needs of kids with autism. As a mom of 2 with high-functioning autism and a special needs advocate for 16 years, I find this statement a bit disingenuous. Just this week, the Palm Beach Post ran a follow-up on Policy 5.181. The article stated that the Palm Beach County has recorded some of the most frequent use of physical restraints in the state with students with disabilities, and that between August and February of this year, the district reported 262 restraints, most, if not all, involving students with autism, emotional disorders, and other disabilities. In February, 38% of the restraints affected kids pre-K through 3rd grade. It also stated, ESE Director Kevin McCormick quoted as saying, all prone restraints are done on soft floor mats that have a certain size and thickness. But earlier in the article, the district also said that restraints are a last resort for like if a student's running away from campus towards traffic or throwing chairs. My family are teachers, so I recognize there are dangerous situations. However, that statement's pretty confusing because the district said all restraints are done on soft floor mats. So if they're running towards traffic, where are the mats? There aren't mats on sidewalks, streets, or most classes. So what about providing sensory rooms for students with spectrum disorders, ADHD, anxiety, and depression to de-escalate the situations first? The board has rejected that, and we need to do a de-escalation technique. Thank you.
Edward Niesenbaum and Alexandra Burke.
My name is Edward, and I am a 5th grader. I am a Jew, and we are celebrating Passover this week. Jewish people were enslaved in Egypt. This is a history of my people. I strongly believe that all children should know their heritage. I did my regular research, and the result made me really sad. 45% of the Jewish kids and 83% of others did not know what Passover was about. The knowledge of Easter was even worse. So, as a member of a Holocaust victim family, I decided to fix this gap and prepare a 20-minute presentation about Passover and Easter for my classmates. I made a big effort, and I didn't want to make the presentation boring. I didn't ask for any extra credits. I just wanted the students to learn the history of my people as a part of Never Again. I wanted students to know that Jewish people could be brave, not only victims. I was shocked when the teacher didn't allow me to do the presentation because of board requirements. Lady from the board agreed with her. My mom will tell you more about communication with the board. What can I say? I feel discriminated, and I blame the board for anti-Semitic. Plus, I noticed that board likes to promote victim propaganda. What about hero and brave people? Do you want next generation to be weak? Where is your inclusion if a Jewish can't talk about Passover and Easter? I know you don't care, and this statement is for all kids and parents. Passover has a deeper meaning. Even now, we are still slaves. We are enslaved by money, fear, somebody else's judgment. Removing slave mentality is not easy, and every person should do it on a daily basis. I believe this is the main reason why board forbade me to do my presentation. Don't give them satisfaction. Be free and brave.
Go ahead, Ms.
Okay. My name is Alexandra, and I just wanted to add a few details to my son's story. When school stopped my son from delivering the Passover presentation, I immediately contacted our big Jew. Who? Mrs. Brill. Do you know what was her answer?
Ms. Burks, no personal attacks based on Ms. Brill's religion. That has no relevance to school board business.
It is.
No, it doesn't. No relevance. Do not discuss Ms. Brill's
Can you move my time back because you're
No,
talking,
I'm not.
me?
Continue.
Okay. So, do you know what was the answer? None. Not even an email. She doesn't care about Never Again. I don't know why Mrs. Brill didn't answer.
Ms. Burks,
I cannot mention her name because I address her.
You're not going to talk about her religious background. You've done that before, and you're not doing it tonight.
She didn't answer my emails. I emailed her specifically to ask to get a permission to do a presentation for my 10 years old. I didn't say a Jew. I didn't say anything. I emailed her. She didn't answer my email.
Continue on.
Could you please remove the time because I'm not going to finish?
Continue.
why Mrs. Brill didn't answer. Maybe she was too busy getting endorsement from fellow work official on the idea of brave Jews was bothering her. I can say that Mrs. Brill is an enemy of our community, and we will do our best effort to remove her from the office. The only answer I received from Mrs. Diana Fiedemann, their principal. She is Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning of School District of Palm Beach County. She stated, this request speaks of religious instructions. That is not our role. Perfect. She was calling 10-year-old boy who desired to share history of Passover as a religious instruction. Where is inclusion? What is next? The Jew going to be outside of classroom? Should my son start wearing a yellow star? You are building a mental concentration camp where kids can share their heritage. What is the role of the board? Just pushing sexual instruction to kindergartens? See you in the court, guys. And specific shame to you, Mrs. Brill. Thank you.
Donald Pearson.
Good evening, Board. Chairman Barbieri, Vice Chair Ms. Brill, and Superintendent Burke. I've been up here plenty of times speaking on behalf of other teachers, my colleagues, and I want to speak again to the personal agenda when a list is sent to the board to vote on, and there's people on there, separation of employment, and I know there's all kinds of reasons, but 579 separations of employment. But I just, again, would ask to make sure that they're vetted correctly, because there are some on that list that haven't been treated fairly. There are some on that list that haven't done what they're supposed to do. I'm just asking to please vet them, because you've had me up here and I've had some of my colleagues where we spoke and some good things happened for some of them. And I'm not speaking of anyone in particular. I'm just, every time we get to this time of year, it just pains me, 40 years in this system, and I wouldn't be in this system for 40 years if I didn't agree and love what I do. But I also know there's compassion, and we can help people to do better if that's the case. And that's what I, again, ask the board. Please look at those. I know it's tough to look individual, especially when you have 8,000 pieces moving with the district, but everybody is worth the time to see if we can help, because there are individuals that end up going through some tough things. And I do what I can, and part of what I can do is hopefully bring a voice to say something that will tweak somebody to say, yeah, we should look into it a little bit better. We have a lot of people leaving, and they're leaving for a lot of different reasons. And if we keep having that revolving door and miss the young teacher who becomes a sub, and he takes the place of a veteran teacher who retired or in the middle of the year or at the beginning of the year and did all that work, and in the meantime got his certification, and then isn't even given the opportunity to take the job that he's been in for a whole school year. Just, we're going to maybe look at somebody else. That kind of pains me, because we should develop young teachers just like we've developed young students. So I just ask again, with a little bit of just vet whatever you can and help whomever we can. Thank you.
Thank you. Board members, you wish to pull anything from consent at this time? Seeing none, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, second by Dr. Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. That'll take us to new business. Mr. Superintendent, COM 1.
I recommend the board proclaim April 2022 as Autism Awareness Month.
Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Ms. Whitfield. Ms. Brill, you want to read that, please?
Thank you. So I am taking the liberty of dedicating this reading to everyone, myself included, who has a special person in their lives with autism. Proclamation, Autism Awareness Month, April 2022. Whereas autism spectrum disorder is a neurological difference that can affect anyone, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, or socioeconomic background. And whereas autism spectrum disorder affects 1 in 44 children in the United States and approximately 4,613 students in the school district of Palm Beach County as of 2022. And whereas males are almost 4 times more likely to have autism spectrum disorder than females. And whereas autism spectrum disorder is estimated to be the fastest growing developmental disability in the United States, according to the Centers for Disease Control, CDC, and Autism and Developmental Disabilities Monitoring, ADDM, and whereas individuals with autism are individuals first and foremost with unique strengths and abilities. And whereas symptoms and characteristics of autism spectrum disorder present themselves in a variety of combinations and can result in lifelong impacts on an individual's ability to learn, develop relationships, and understand verbal and nonverbal communication. And whereas early diagnosis and intervention, as well as ongoing support from family, doctors, therapists, and educators can positively influence people with autism spectrum disorder to achieve better outcomes and a higher quality of life. And whereas people with autism spectrum disorder should have access to appropriate services throughout their lifetime so that they can achieve their greatest potential and lead happy and productive lives, fully included with their communities. And whereas the School Board of Palm Beach County prides itself on being pupil-centered, and where our schools and community are committed to developing programs and providing services that meet the diverse academic and social needs of all of our student body, including those with autism. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Superintendent and School Board of Palm Beach County do hereby proclaim April 2022 as Autism Awareness Month and urges all personnel and students to participate in Autism Awareness Month activities in order to become better educated on the strengths and needs of those with autism spectrum disorder, done this 20th day of April 2022 in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. COM 2, Mr. Superintendent.
I recommend the board proclaim Sunday, April 24th through Sunday, May 1st, 2022 as Holocaust Days of Remembrance.
Motion by Mrs. Whitfield, second by Mrs. Andrews. Mrs. Brewer.
Thank you. And so this is the proclamation for Holocaust Days of Remembrance, Yom HaShoah, April 24 to May 1st, 2022. Whereas the Holocaust was the state-sponsored systemic persecution and annihilation of European Jewry by Nazi Germany and its collaborators between 1933 and 1945, during which 6 million people were murdered. Roma, Gypsies, people with disabilities, and Poles were also targeted for destruction or decimation due to racial, ethnic, and national discrimination. Millions more, including LGBTQ people, Jehovah's Witnesses, Soviet prisoners of war, and political dissidents also suffered grievous oppression and death under Nazi tyranny. And whereas the history of the Holocaust offers an opportunity to reflect on the moral responsibilities of individuals, societies, and governments, and whereas the School District of Palm Beach County should always remember the terrible events of the Holocaust and remain vigilant against hatred, persecution, and tyranny. And whereas the School District of Palm Beach County should actively rededicate ourselves to the principles of individual freedom in a just society. And whereas the days of remembrance have been set aside for the School District of Palm Beach County to remember the victims of the Holocaust, as well as to reflect on the need for respect of all peoples. And whereas, pursuant to an act of Congress, Public Law 96-388, October 7, 1980, the United States Holocaust Memorial Council designates the days of remembrance for the victims of the Holocaust to be Sunday, April 24th through Sunday, May 1st, 2022, including the Day of Remembrance known as Yom HaShoah on April 28th, 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Superintendent and School Board of Palm Beach County do hereby proclaim the week of Sunday, April 24th through Sunday, May 1st, 2022 as days of remembrance in memory of the victims of the Holocaust and in honor of the survivors, as well as the rescuers and liberators, and further proclaim that we, the School District of Palm Beach County, should work to promote human dignity and confront hate whenever and wherever it occurs. Done this 20th day of April, 2022 in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Thank you, Ms. Brewer. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. LR1, Superintendent.
Yes, before I read the recommendation, I just want to quickly echo the sentiments that Mr. Longhofer shared earlier and thank the school board for making this settlement with our teachers possible. I know how committed the board is to providing the best salaries possible for all of our employees, and we worked hard to get there. I'd like to thank the bargaining teams also on both sides, from CTA and from our district team. They were committed to getting a deal yesterday, and they worked through it, and they also navigated some of the challenges that Mr. Longhofer alluded to as far as how we structure the pace across our salary schedule. So anyway, I just want to take a minute to thank everyone involved. I'll go ahead with the recommendation. I recommend the board approve the attached tentative agreement pending ratification by the Palm Beach County Classroom Teachers Association.
Everybody wants to make that motion. We'll pick on Mrs. Andrews. A second? Mrs. Whitfield, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. P2?
All right, P2. And P2, we're going to have a more formal swearing-in ceremony, but included on this personnel agenda is our new Chief of School Police, Miss Sarah Mooney. Chief Mooney is in the room with us here tonight, and we'll do a proper introduction on May 4th and swearing in, but I just wanted to highlight that. I recommend the board approve the personnel addendum as submitted.
Motion by Dr. Robinson, seconded by Ms. Ayala. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. And that's the end of the agenda items other than non-agenda speakers. So we'll start with 3 at a time. Please come to the microphone that's closest to you. Patrick Glover, Antonio Lulares, and Syria Ramirez.
There's no one in your contacts named
Good evening. Good evening, board.
Thank you, Siri. Go ahead,
Chairman
sir.
Barbieri, Superintendent Mike Burke, and his members. We can change the world and make it a better place. It is in your hands to make a difference. Nelson Mandela. I humbly come before you today after my last meeting here February 23rd, 2022, saying thank you for the opportunity to speak again on these non-agenda issues below. Both my Queen Mother and King Father were employed well over 70 years for the illustrious school district. I myself have put in well over 16 years of good work in the same school district. Our district has a $4.4 million budget, and for some reason we can't manage to have funds, including interest, gain on funds, released to our school, i.e. South Intensive Transition School. 400 or more open non-certification instructional positions out of 2,850 total open positions. I have only been selected to interview for positions based only on certification. 3 out of 285 positions I have applied for totally. This would enable us to move out of the 1960 portables infested with subterranean termites that crawl on me and my students daily, mold and mildew, air polluted portables, and temporarily move us into the building located on our campus, i.e. the old South Tech building, which is in great condition, far better than the current portable location. On behalf of me, my family, the Palm Beach County community, and all Palm Beach County students, SIT students in particular, I'm here again today, my 4th time. Budget funds were scheduled to be released fully September 22nd, 2022, still pending. However, I did receive a contract via our PeopleSoft portal 2 days after requesting to speak at this initial meeting with a termination date of 06/2022 to be signed and complete by September 3rd, but I received it on November 3rd, unbeknownst to me. SIT location to SIT location, modification with no change, unfulfilled promises. We continue to be in a dump school similar to a third world country. I will continue to reach out to parents for support because the school district continues to treat SIT unequally and unfair. From what I understood, we were supposed to have special funds available for all alternative school sites since the beginning of the school year 2021. However, there has been a delay of releasing the funds for no apparent reason. I'm here today to see what needs to be done in order for our school to be treated equal and fair. This will enable our school to be treated equal and fair as our counterpart schools, i.e. $1,559,656.11 to $15 million were invested. This is the exact amount we will need in the near future to fully convert our school to South Intensive Transition School and Academy 8.5 Accelerated. There are individuals in a position of power utilizing their power to financially repress an entire school. Please let me know what we need to do to rectify the issue. I will not be bullied, cyberbullied, threatened, or intimidated if other employees are afraid to speak up about their current inequalities. Please keep in mind this will not be our last term.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Next speaker that I call. All right, Oric Dagan, Fiona Lachelles, Bailey Lachelles.
Bailey Lachelles. I've emailed this board. I've emailed every one of you 3 times over the last 3 weeks with 0 response other than from a secretary yesterday. I emailed you about the critical race theory that Ms. Keisha Starks was set to teach at Somerset Academy on March 28th. Was it critical race theory? It was specifically, the material was taken from the book by Glenn Singleton, Conversations About Race. It says right in there, it is our belief that the most devastating factor contributing to the lower achievement of students of color is institutionalized racism, which we can recognize as the unexamined and unchallenged system of racial bias with residual white privilege. I asked you guys specifically if you knew of the presentation, if you knew promoting CRT was now illegal, what the employment status of was Ms. Starks, and if her consulting agency was involved. The response I got from a secretary said in part that Ms. Starks is an employee of the district and she was contacted by Somerset to address some cultural and racial issues and undertones they were experiencing at the school. She was going to go there, but on Friday it came to light what she was getting ready to teach over there on Monday. The presentation was then sent to legal. Almost a month later, that presentation is still in the legal department. Have we not figured out if it's critical race theory? I mean, as a mom sitting at home, I could figure that out without much help. I'm not sure how long it's going to take the legal department to figure it out. The final part of it was questions about the school's decision to offer this training to its staff should be directed at the school's governing body. I don't think this is on Somerset. I think this is on Ms. Starks and what she planned on teaching and if the board knew about this. This falls on the board because every one of you knew without a doubt and you've been made aware of the CRT she intended to teach. You're choosing not to respond to parent emails or give any sort of statement acknowledging the illegal presentation makes you just as guilty. How long will your legal team be reviewing the information Ms. Starks tried to delete in the days after her presentation was brought to the attention of the governor's office and the DOE? While it's great that after dozens of emails I have sent to this board, at least the receptionist took the time to respond. However, your secretary saying this is on Somerset Academy is as bad as saying my daughter being suspended for 2.5 months is on the principal. Not taking action against Ms. Stark's flat-out critical race theory is as bad as this board not stepping up to protect or apologize to my 8-year-old daughter, especially now that all these mandates have been deemed illegal. Mr. Barbieri, you said Mr. Burke could void expulsions. Can he void suspensions as well? How about voiding her suspensions? Y'all let her sit for 38 days over a mask, not a taser. Then again, if you were going to apologize, I hope it would be a little more sincere than Mr. Barbieri's apology to the school police. She deserves an apology too. She deserves those days vacated for the illegal suspension you guys gave her.
Jen Showalter, Brad Martin, Grace Greenberg.
Hi, I'm Jen Showalter, here to discuss our county's academic performance levels. And a quick note, researching the county and who the contracts we actually get into contracts with. But first, an update. Earlier, we talked about late arrivals and absentees, asking for data based on race and sex. What about the family? What about the parents? You know, are there issues at home? Are the parents working? Has there been parent-student meetings? I think that information needs to be addressed. Back to what I was going to talk about. When you look at bid 19C25N with office supply discount from catalog, you'll notice the disclosure naming the companies who own larger shares of office supply, which includes BlackRock, Inc. That's something that needs to be addressed. But let's spend the time discussing our academics. The board uses disingenuous performance skills and bloated numbers to disguise the real truth, like inflated graduation rates. U.S. News and World Report scores show our high schoolers tanking college-ready index scores as well as math and proficiency. The CRI, in case nobody knows, that's where U.S. News and World Report looked at 12th graders attempting at least one AP or IB class, and also how many passed one AP or IB exam. We don't necessarily expect an A, but there's going to be those going to tech schools that could use one of those classes too. U.S. News also listed more high schools in our county than is listed on the county website. After looking at the county website, it's discovered those schools that weren't listed, many of them were charter schools. I made an in-depth chart and graphs explaining this, but speakers aren't allowed to present visuals. Bottom line, of the 37 high schools listed on the county website, 20 received an A, meaning 90 to 100% graduation rate, but 13 had an F in reading, and 14 had an F in math. And that's per Florida DOE scores. 8 schools had no data listed at all. And only 2 schools had a B in college readiness. Those were Suncoast and Dreyfus. And only Dreyfus had an A, well, they both had an A in reading, but Dreyfus only had an A in math. And Dreyfus is the art school. Suncoast is the STEM school. Suncoast scored a 74% in math. Florida only has 1 high school nationally in the top 20, and that's from Miami. Palm Beach doesn't have 1 in the top 100, and only 4 in the top 1,000 in the nation. We have 0 high schools in the top 10 in Florida, and according to Pew Research in 2017, the country was in the middle of the pack. There was a 15-year gap between 1990 and 2015 where proficiency levels raised only 18%, but that number's already declining, and most are below proficiency levels, and the lockdown only made it worse. The Florida DOE reports on math and English FSA and EOC scores from 2021 to 2019 show we dropped across the board. So what does this tell us? The board is pushing kids out the door who aren't ready.
Thank you, Ms. Showalter. Brad Martin, Grace Greenberg, Karen Moran.
Hello?
Go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Grace Greenberg. Parents and teachers need more information on academic protocol for teaching sexuality and gender-bending issues. You must inform us by explaining your action plan on the following 8 points of the HB 1557. Number 1, requires district school boards to adopt procedures that comport with certain provision of law for notifying a student's parent of specified information. My comment to you is, when are you holding public forums to discuss these parameters? How can parents help if they have very little notice where you're going with it? How will we all know what's acceptable to them, parents, if you're not upfront with the whole community? State and district should not dictate, but listen and build a collaborative message. 2, requires such procedures to reinforce fundamental right of parents to make decisions regarding upbringing and control of their children. What do you have in mind here? I recommend more public forums, town halls. Number 3, prohibits school district from adopting procedures or student support forms that prohibits school district personnel from notifying parent about specified information or that encourage a student to withhold from parents such information. We better be clear on this. Number 4, prohibits school district personnel from discouraging or prohibiting parental notification and involvement in critical decisions affecting students' mental, emotional, or physical well-being. We better be perfectly clear on that, too. Number 5, prohibits classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in certain grade levels. My comment is, when would you introduce this and in what context? I'm happy to volunteer to discuss what it was like growing up in my generation and exactly when it became a political opportunity to create divisiveness, polarization, and needless violence. Also, when will you bring up topics like fellatio, cunnilingus, and what about hermaphrodites and androgynes? Will those be topics to discuss at the elementary school level? Number 6, requires school district to notify parents of health care services. Most family members pretty much know that their child may have sexual proclivities before the child recognizes them. You could advise parents that it's time to have that discussion based on discussion with a guidance counselor and with or without psychological services. If they don't know now what they would like to be, LGBTQ, whatever, how much influence has their education had on their determining their sexuality at such an early age? 7, authorizes parents to bring against school district to obtain declaratory judgment. This will happen if curricula and protocol have not been discussed well in advance and agreed upon.
Thank you, Ms. Greenberg. Karen Moran, Edward Niesenbaum, and Alexandra Burke. Ashley Labad, Amanda Silvestri.
I'm here, Karen Moran.
Good.
Okay. Good evening, board members. And my name is Karen Moran. I'm a mother of 3, a grandmother of 8, and a former Palm Beach County school teacher and the founder of Save Our Schools America. I would like this period in history to be the era of the great dismantling of structures set up to destroy this nation and the children of this nation. Let there be a holy anger against unholy agendas such as critical race theory, gender identity, and hating our country and hating each other because of the color of our skin. Let the only oppression be towards those who teach false ideologies, division, and corrupting the minds of our children, those who are most vulnerable and easy to influence at a young age. By the way, equity does not mean equality. In our Bill of Rights, it says that we have inalienable rights given to us by our Creator. These rights include life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Equity includes the idea that we take from those that have more than others and divide it among everyone, so everyone's the same. That idea is socialism and communism, and it has been tried before with great failure. Look at Cuba and Venezuela and countries like them. I noticed in one of your recent documents that contracts were given out to people based on their race to make things more equitable. I noticed that white males were excluded from these contracts. Is it because white males already have a lot of work, so let's give it to everyone else? Instead, let us give contracts to those that will do the best job, not based on race. Otherwise, the district can be accused of being racist. I have a list of porn and objectionable books that have been found in school districts in Florida. Palm Beach County had 74% of these objectionable books, the second highest level in the state. And some of us have found books that are not even on that list that add up to more than 74%. I personally would like to be on any committee that evaluates these objectionable books. This committee needs to include concerned parents and not just hand-picked individuals with woke ideology. Schools exist for the education of children. Schools do not exist to provide ironclad jobs for teachers, billions of dollars in union dues for teachers' unions, monopolies for educational bureaucracies, and a guaranteed market for graduates of teacher colleges or a captive audience for indoctrinators. Classroom time spent on promoting woke ideology has dumbed down our kids and wasted our time.
Thank you, Ms. Moran.
We can't change the past.
Ashley Labad, Amanda Silvestri, Nathan Galang. Go ahead.
My name is Edward, and I'm a 5th grader. I am puzzled Palm Beach County board members can't read, or all 7 of them are liars. I reviewed Florida's Parental Rights and Education bill with my mom. It is only 3 pages. No words about gays. The bill says classroom instructions on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate. As I said before, I am a 5th grader and didn't know much about sex. My parents briefed me on a subject and I realized I'm not ready and it is too complex for me. I want to do my regular survey, but my rabbi, who also has a degree in education, stated that love and sex are private matter and should not be discussed in public. And each child has his own time for this discussion. When I am ready, I will talk to my parents or my older brother. I don't need your assistance. I witnessed how you were signing the letter of opposition to the bill. So what exactly do you want? Legal age for sex is 18. I have 8 more years to get familiar. And do you really want kindergarteners to learn it? They still believe in dragons and fairies, and they have 13 years until they are 18. Do you really want all kids to be gay and transgender? Anybody could convince a small child of anything. Even I can convince a 5-year-old that crocodiles can fly. I did it last weekend. So what is your hidden reason? Mr. Barberi, you were so active about it. Do you know what love is? Do you know now what is the difference between animals and people? People usually fall in love before sex. Why are you turning on sex instruction for 5-year-olds? Recent news shows that you were not a good parent. And what is the next step in your curriculum? Sexual instruction and then practices? Do you want to convert school to rated R entertainment? This is called pedophilia. I just learned what that is, and it's really disgusting.
Go ahead, Ms. Burke.
Yeah, my name is Alexandra, and I want to show you a picture just for a board and for everybody else. Do you know this lady? She committed a crime. She was trying to put a critical race theory on March 28th. Bailey talked about it, so I'm going to skip on exactly the details of presentation. And I emailed it to the board too, and I had no response from any of you. So where our normal teacher becoming a low-income members of the society, if substitute teachers are making $15, $17 per hour, this individual is still employed by public, but by our organization. CRT is against the law in Florida, and I demanded immediate termination of her employment. In addition to this, I would like to share my experience with parents who brought this information to my attention. And it's become very logical. Mr. Barbieri, parents afraid of you, retaliation against kids. At least 3 families whom I talked to stated, please do not use our name. Our kids still in the system. He, Barbieri, can go after the students and ruin her career. Look at the situation from your son. Mr. Barbieri, anything could happen. I didn't say a word about your son last meeting, but then I read the news. Barbieri was last arrested on March 22nd.
Excuse me, relevance, General Counsel. This is personal.
Absolutely not.
This is not personal.
Yes, this is outside of school board policy.
Okay. Charges would change the misdemeanor.
Please don't talk about our chair's family. Please, we put it in our policy. Thank you. Please, we really need to have you help us here. Thank you. Miss, this is against our policy. Thank you.
The next speaker.
Ashley Labad, Amanda Silvestri, Nathan Galing, Charmin Postal.
Ashley Labad. I'm going to touch on that CRT training. That was my school. I had multiple parents reach out to me that were freaking out because for their family that was not okay. 651 teachers and staff have attended the Introduction to Culturally Responsive Training. No employees have received the 72 points. No employees have received a seal, but I've been teaching for 10 years. We've never had a seal for anything. I find that interesting. It says that the presentation has not taken place for students, and I just don't believe that our school would have been the first. The problem with this is that people, like I said, don't agree with it. And I read the notes that Keisha Starks put at the bottom. And I'm sorry, but you're causing division. We have a lot of kids in my school that are mixed families. And some of those families reached out to me and they said, I don't know what to do. When my principal's email was blasted, it gave me the end to talk to him and tell him both sides of it. This is stuff that should be dealt with at home. Why aren't the parents being called in, which I suggested? Have a meeting with them. Have the parents come in, say what's going on, take care of it within the family, because there's certain things that's not your job to do. Mental health. Last 2 years, it's been a huge impact. The things that I've seen with my students is unbelievable. We need to focus on academics, not politics or agendas. We are human, period. Most of my students, like I said, are mixed. I'm sick of hearing black, white, this, that. They're people, okay? That's not something that they talk about. CEL and CRT are not welcomed by all parents and all teachers, and there's trainings on them that we don't all agree with. So please take that into consideration when you're talking about it. Jen Showalter on our YouTube has 4-part series on all of that. The other thing is that the kids are overly tested. We take about 12 to 14 tests. There are 4 PBPAs a year. It is way too much. My kids are stressed out. All 3 classes have told me, why do we have another test? Progress monitoring, Mr. Barbieri, we spoke at the last meeting. I know that you need a baseline and so on and so forth, but if we had a drop down, because we're never on the same pace, that the teachers could pick the standard that they've gone over and it generates a test. I'm not IT, okay, teacher only. But if it could generate a test, we could see where our students are and help them academically. It would be a better outcome. They would not be over-tested. You could do 3 tests a year. iReady, if you want to keep it, okay, fine, I get it. But you need to make something that is good for each student. I'm here for every single student. I'm talking for all 3 classes, and they beg me to speak up for them. So we need your help. If you want more information, I will take my 3 months' pay that I lost and help you out some more.
Thank you, Ms. Labad. Amanda Silvestri, Nathan Galang, Charmaine Postal, Michael Lefebvre.
Hello, my name is Nathan Galang from Green Acres. I just wanted to speak because I've been watching and listening to the meetings over the last few months, and every month you see the disturbing trend of who the reactionary media machine declares the enemy. We've seen angry mobs target doctors because, they dare say that a global pandemic should be a concern in a place where people group together like schools. We've seen teachers and historical literature targeted because the mob wants to pretend that some of the most hard-working and overworked individuals among us are monsters that are grooming your kids and teaching them a bastardized version of CRT that think tanks made up. That I know that you guys don't genuinely believe is not you guys, the people that follow the mob. The mob doesn't believe it because they didn't even know what it was until it started being talked about in the summer because the think tanks pushed it. All right? Worst of all, we are now seeing the newest target, and it was very clear last meeting, of the right-wing media machine, is young gay students, lesbian students, bisexual students, and most prominently, trans students. But you know what? Let's argue the facts. Number one, gender and sex are fundamentally different things. This was not taught to me by the schools. This was taught to me by no one. This is the definition. The sex is classification based on physiological traits. Gender is classified on social and cultural traits. Now, you might want to argue with me, but you're not arguing with me. You're arguing with the American Psychological Association, the American Medical Association, the American Psychoanalytical Association, the United Nations, the UK Health Service. Argue with those people, don't argue with me. But the debate there is done. And not only is there a medical, scientific, and academic consensus on the validity of trans people, but also on the effects of transitioning. There was a meta-analysis, multi-decade, looked at a lot of studies, and they found that 93% of studies showed positive results of transitioning for transgender individuals. You know what the 7% that didn't show that? They showed simply no indifference, no result. None of those results showed harm. Now, another important fact, and this relates to students. I'm not saying that you have to go full hormones or go all out with the surgery with a young kid. But what I am saying is that there have been other studies which show strong parental support lower the suicide of trans youth from the likeliness of 57% to 4%. I simply don't want to see more trans people kill themselves. I don't know about the mob. Thank you so much, and don't let them pressure you.
Charmaine Postal and Michael Lefebvre.
Charmaine Postal, mother of 4. So last month, I came here with my 2 sons. You probably saw me on that side. My precious gems sat with me. And I promised Thomas and Joseph, because they're always watching Mommy, as well as other students. I conduct a student voice after dark with students that share all the things about school district, school, what's going on in their community, how they're feeling. And tonight, I can't stop. I have my niece with me, Sienna Desire. She also wanted to speak, but decided that she was advocating a different way, a more appropriate way. Instead of sharing with the board some concerns that she had about her school, she's actually going to talk to, she saw the one of the area superintendents here, and she wanted to give him the privilege to know what's going on at her school first before introducing it to the board. She wanted to give him the opportunity to fix the problem before addressing the board. So kudos to you, Sienna. So I also shared, I wanted to share, I threw away my paper because I said, if I had a conversation, a long conversation last month after this meeting with a group of individuals, and we talked, and we talked, and we talked for an hour and 37 minutes while these heels was hurting outside, while all the officers and all the board members left. We talked, and we had some amazing conversation. We had some common ground. We talked about everything under the sun, and quite honestly, a lot of things that we talked about, we aligned with. A lot of things that they agree with, they're at the mic every month saying that they don't agree with it and saying something completely opposite when the cameras are rolling. And I promise them every meeting I will say something. I am sick and I am tired of it all. If you have facts, bring the facts to the board. But I told them I will share with the board every single month how sick and tired I am that since we have spoken, they have had opportunities to contact the Academic Advisory Committee, District Diversity Equity Committee, Book Review Committee, ISSOC, every committee under the sun. I have given them the avenue of where they can go find the proper channels to voice their concerns. And to date, there has been 0 public comments at all of these particular forums. I'm sick and tired of it. And in my 15 seconds that I have left, I just wanted to give a big shout out to my daughter's teacher. She told me to share, so please don't ring the bell on me. Miss Levine for having an excellent teaching skills and having the courage to thoroughly explain the Holocaust and help with the presentation for the HEAL program. And Mr. Barker doing an excellent job explaining photography, history, form of speech, form of debates, and cinema. So just wanted to share those thoughts.
Thank you, Ms. Postal. Mr. LaFeber.
Michael LaFeber. Why did we take books off the shelf? You know the ones I'm talking about. I Am Sam, Call Me Max. Why were they removed? It's an honest question. If there was nothing wrong with them, why'd you have to take them down? Now, I'm no expert, but I am well informed, Mr. Burke. And since you can't seem to comprehend the why, let me enlighten you. It's because they're very disturbing. These kids' brains are not fully developed yet, and you are not tending to their feelings. You are constructing their minds, and your intentions are perverted, disturbing, disgusting, and dangerous. Little kids should be learning their colors and letters. You're teaching them about sex. Listen, if you're talking about penile, virginal, or oral, you are talking about sex. If you are discussing sexual orientation, you are talking about sex. See, the cat's out of the bag, and we know your agenda. From the education secretary to woke teachers unions, this board, and yes, even the FBI and DOJ investigating me and many other parents who come to school board meetings to stand up to people just like you. You want our kids. You think they belong to you for some reason. You are sadly mistaken. It's all over communist China's TikTok and other social medias. Every other night I see a video of some woke teacher talking about sexualizing kids or forcing them to think like they do. Literally pushing this crap on our little kids, all while trying to hide it from the parents. Dude, you put it on TikTok. But these people think our kids belong to them. Disney, a YouTube channel called Amaze, where they literally teach kids how to have sex and what kinds of sex they can have. LOL Surprise Dolls, these books you had to remove. Math problems that have nothing to do with math, but use the word rape. Masks. Are we seeing a pattern here? You keep pushing things that make no sense, things that are dangerous, disgusting, and very disruptive to our kids' development. School is supposed to play a key role in a child's development, and you are failing. You're failing our kids and our future. You're not educators. This is pathetic. The fact that I have to come up here and tell you to keep sex talk out of your mouth in front of little kids is just pathetic, and it shows who you really are. We are sick of this crap, and we're going to have all this disgusting content removed from your lesson plan and replace it with good old-fashioned math, science, history, and reading. God forbid a home economics class or a finance class, things that will actually push kids towards success.
Board discussion item, Dr. Robinson.
Thank you. While I am pulling it back up, so, you know, I've been reflecting on some of the things that have happened that seem to be in conflict. And mostly, and now I'm talking about relative to investigations. And so managed to run across a document from a previous board workshop that included the burdens of proof. And so you probably see my discussion item, and I don't see it yet. Hang on. But what I wanted to do was essentially ask the board to discuss making it very clear and transparent for our investigative units to have their investigations clearly state the burden of proof that they were making their decisions under, if I've phrased that correctly. We have and actually the Inspector General passed out some documents with the different levels: the reasonable suspicion, probable cause, preponderance of the evidence, clear and convincing, and beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, it's my theory that because our different investigative units have different burdens of proof, that will sometimes lead to some confusion. So I finally pulled it up, so let me read it if you don't mind, because I actually had organized my thoughts when I wrote this. So it's clear to me that the different burdens of proof required by the different investigative units of the Palm Beach County School District to report findings can create some confusion. The criminal justice system and school police require the highest burden of proof to recommend consequences. I've since been reoriented that that's not true, that the police require probable cause to refer to the criminal justice system, but I think it's still accurate that the criminal justice system, their burden of proof is beyond a reasonable doubt. Professional standards, on the other hand, requires clear and convincing evidence to forward an investigation for administrative consequences, and the officer of the Inspector General requires the lowest burden of proof, which is preponderance of the evidence. So I believe that this contributes to confusion when and if the IG reports a finding, but professional standards or law enforcement finds none. It also allows one to think that investigations are duplicative when they may not be. The Office of the Inspector General investigation answers whether or not there are findings that meet their burden of proof, while professional standards might need to supplement the investigation by the OIG to determine whether the evidence meets their higher burden. And I also believe that the phrase legally sufficient bears the burden of the relevant investigative agency or entity unit. So that has to be clarified. But I'm requesting that the board discuss addressing this. So my best idea at the moment is that every investigation that's completed by any of the investigative units ends actually not only with a statement, but with also a definition of what the burden of proof, different burdens of proof are, which I would expect to be that definition to be same for every investigative unit, and for then that investigation states whether or not the allegations were founded and unfounded or unsubstantiated based on that investigative unit's required burden. And I also suggest that whenever the term legally sufficient is used, that the appropriate burden or standard is also identified. Because I think, reflecting upon some of the things that have happened over the years, I can't go back in time and try to prove or disprove, but I do think that these different levels of burden of proof have contributed to, if not confusion, maybe even tension. And so it's my request that the board discuss how we resolve this and really just create transparency. So if a recommendation, for example, goes to the superintendent that, let's say, is from professional standards, since the IG does not recommend consequences, that professional standards is very clear what their burden of proof is, and that they state that they think that they've met it. And so the superintendent can interpret it that way, that when school police refer something to the state attorney, that they're clear what burden of proof they felt that they met. They required to meet probable cause. Maybe they would say that in this particular case they believe that it meets the measure of the preponderance of the evidence. I just am saying we need to have clear communication around these investigations and the different standards of proof. I'm not saying my answer is the best answer, but we need an answer.
Ms. Brill and then Mrs. Andrews.
Thank you. So first, I just wanted to mention that it's not a discussion item now, but I think central reporting is still a critical issue that we need to address. Central reporting, that all complaints go in centrally. I think that would help with the confusion. But I would like to ask our Inspector General, Ms. Michaels, to weigh in and also to discuss the language that she's proposed and what's currently in the OIG reports.
Yes, I definitely think there is some confusion, and one of the standards that we have on the back of our reports, we've gone by preponderance of the evidence, and that is the standard that's set by DOA, and it's set by the industry. There's some court decisions as well. We have not been really doing that standard. We've been doing clear and convincing, and because I would not want to do 51%, put somebody's career just on a 51 percentile. So what I suggest to alleviate some of this confusion is we just state clear and convincing, which is the standard we've been meeting, and we put our definition on the back as the proposed language. I have the policy ready to change. That is no problem at all. Now, in speaking with school police, they may have a difficulty in adding the language because they have a sworn affidavit. It's based on their evidence, and I don't want to speak for school police directly, but they have certain standards they have to meet legally, and they have a sworn affidavit. So I don't think they could really do that, but I'll defer to them. And OPS, of course, I can't speak for them as well, but we can definitely do that. Now, the legally sufficient, one of the things that I'd like to clarify, for our office, we go through, there's 5 levels of review. The investigator does it, the director of investigation then reviews it, our quality assurance, our general counsel, and then I review it. All that is tracked, all that is recorded, and at any time, if somebody disagrees, there's not sufficient, we round table it. We go back and forth, and all that is tracked and recorded, and we have all those documents. We never get rid of those. And at the end of the report, the investigator has to sign that they swear and affirm that they believe that everything has been followed, that the process has been met. And the legally sufficient that we give is just for our finding alone. So the legal sufficiency for discipline is the general counsel's office. And I think that sometimes gets confused, and only the superintendent is the one that makes a determination on what discipline. And again, you're correct, Dr. Robinson, we have nothing to do with discipline, nor do I want to have anything close to that. But we can add that language. We can definitely make it clear that we are doing clear and convincing, and we can do the best we can to communicate how we do things.
Mrs. Andrews?
Yeah, I thank you, Dr. Robinson, for putting this on the agenda. And you have a bit of information that I haven't seen yet because you were able to go back and find some documents, it sounds like.
I'll send it to the board.
Yeah, send it to the board. But what I think now, we have a new HR chief sitting right over there. And we need to make sure that we put her in the loop. Mr. Burke, you just brought her on. We just met her today. And I think when we're talking about school police, when we're talking about the IG, HR, professional standards, all of these pieces need to be discussed with legal. And I think once we can go back and get what Dr. Robinson has, looking at what IG gave us, working with our new HR chief, I would like that kind of discussion to be held with the general counsel and then bring it back to us so that we can kind of look and decide what we might want to do. By that time, I would think the school police would have been at the table, HR, IG, professional standards, everybody's at the table with all the information that we're bringing here today so we can get it right, because it is somebody's life on the line when we're actually bringing them forth with one of these propositions, and when it's you, the one that's in trouble, you want to make sure it's correct, that they're actually doing the right thing. I'm happy this discussion item is out here, but I would thank the superintendent with his team as well as IG and all of us. All of you need to get together and look at all the way we've done it in the past, where we are now, what is appropriate based on the law, and what we can and cannot do, and certainly have our new HR chief get into this picture and then bring it back to us if that's something that this board would agree with, not tonight, but as we move forward. That's my thought.
So I have a suggestion. I mean, we have our new HR chief here. We probably should have a workshop on this, bring everybody here with us so we can discuss all of this at one time. I mean, this is an objective that we've had to try and coordinate all of this for years now. Now that we have a new HR chief, we have the IG, we have the general counsel, we have a new police chief coming on board. If we get everybody in the workshop, we can figure out how to make sure that all of this is coordinated, the due process is followed so that none of our employees are unduly harmed by something that went wrong with the process. But I think that would be the best idea. So if you all agree, we can ask the superintendent to schedule that when he has the opportunity to do that. Yes? Superintendent?
Yes, we'll get that scheduled. Just need a little time to get everyone on board and get that laid out. But once we have completed the process, we'll get to the board ASAP.
Great. Is there anything else anybody would like to add? We need a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mrs. Andrews, seconded by Ms. Ayala. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Mínimo de tres eventos para los padres, y en estos eventos les debemos saber de los diferentes, lo que está pasando en el distrito, información que deben saber.